Hello and welcome to MahendraGuru.com, the Brahmas for Success, and you're watching a special video on how to crack general awareness in 60 days. Before starting the video, it's a request from our side to subscribe our YouTube channel for unlimited access to all the content, the videos that we have to offer. You can follow us on Instagram, tweet us on Twitter, and like our Facebook page for unlimited access to all the content that we have to offer. We've also presented a new Mahendras app that is 2-in-1 app that consists of not only the Mahendras content but also of Mahendra Guru. So do download and see the difference. Let's start with the discussion on how to crack general awareness in 60 days. Now, this particular strategy, this particular method is a method that, as per us, is a liable method to get you clear the general awareness section. So let's start with the entire synopsis of the manner in which you can crack the examination. First of all, general awareness has two crucial parts. Yes, current events, banking awareness. Now these two have been the breadwinners for every aspirant who wants to crack the general awareness section. In the current events, it could have various features. In the banking awareness, they focus on the current banking basics. Remember, this is an entry level examination and this is neither a banking examination or a scale 1 or a scale 2 examination. So you have to be pretty clear that being an entry level examination, it focuses on the banking basics that any layman should know. Of late, another section has been asked in abundance in the examination. Sir, that is static GK. Yes, in the SBI PO mains and also in the SBI clerk mains, they focused particularly on the static GK section. Now what we will do is that in the coming videos, in the coming series, we would focus on three parts. In this video, we would focus on the current events. In the second part, on the banking awareness. And on the third part, we would focus on static GK. Without further ado, let's discuss the current events part in detail. Now, before starting the discussion, these are the 12 important components, 12 important features of the current events which are asked in any competitive examination. National, international, economy and RBI, sports, books and authors, obituaries, appointments, awards, famous places, famous people, special events, and science and technology. So if you want to crack, or if you want to have an idea, or if you want to be a master in current events, these are the 12 topics, 12 features that you have to master. Now we would give you an idea about how you would master or how you would go about going through these 12 important components. First of all, requirements for the preparation. Now this is a prescription from our side. You can differ. Number one, you should always have a notebook for current events. Number two, online subscription of a newspaper or an e-paper for those students who want to have the extra mile, who want to have the edge in terms of cracking this particular section. And number three, sketch pens. Now let me just tell you why these three requirements. Number one, if you would have a notebook, you would have a text to go through. You would have a daily habit of writing down all the topics, all the events that have transpired in that day in that particular notebook. Now, an e-paper, because the paper is online, everything is now online, an e-paper would do wonders. How? It would perhaps tell you the important headline that you want to have an idea. In a newspaper, not only it gives you the headlines, but it also gives you the editorials. Various questions in the English paper and various questions from those editorials have come in the examination. That is the second requirement. Third, if you write down 10 headlines, you have to mark, you have to highlight highlight a particular topic, and for that you need a sketch pen. It could be yellow, it could be orange, but you have to have sketch pens. Now in a day, because you have to prepare maths, you have to prepare English, you have to prepare reasoning, for general awareness and especially for the current events, 120 minutes should be the key. It should be enough to make you and to have you an idea about what is happening around the world, across the country. And for everything else, we have MahendraGuru.com, the Brahmas for Success. Now let's see what we have in store in terms of the notebook, how you would make the notebook much more effective. I would like the director to just zoom in this particular page, because this is perhaps the page for this particular video. Now first, go through the headlines of the day on MahendraGuru.com. Every day, 24/7, we provide you 10 headlines which matter in that particular day. Go through them, note these headlines in your notebook. Now beside every headline, for example, For example, CBTT appointed certain person as their chairman. Now that is a portion of appointment. So in such headline, in the brackets write down A. That is appointment. Similarly, Mother Teresa passed away. Now that is an obituary part. Beside that particular headline, write in brackets O. Similarly, UPI, the Unified Payment Interface, has been developed. Now that is a national news. Beside that particular headline, write N. So no matter how many headlines or how many events you note down in a notebook, beside every headline, just categorize them with a national, that is N, international I, sports S, for example, obituary O, so that you have an idea that this is a headline concerning this particular portion. After that, every day out of the 10 headlines, there would be the headline of the day. Now, that is the headline that could come in the examination, and questions could come around that particular headline in the examination. Now for that you have to highlight that particular headline and go through and make additional notes for that particular headline. It could be 1, 2 or 3, there could be several headlines of the day, but you have to have additional notes about each and every important headline. Now this you have to do every day in a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Sunday is the crucial part. This is the difference between a master and a person who is trying to master current events. Now every Sunday, list the top 10 current events from the week's headlines and at least write 50 words on each of them. Now I'll again reiterate. Every Sunday, list the top 10 current events from the week's headlines and at least write 50 words on each of them. For example, in the previous week, if I may, the important headline was US Open. Now you have to write an article about the US Open. It could be the history of US Open. It could include the history of US Open. It could include the winners, the winners profile, for example, Stan Wawrinka and Angelique Kerber. So you have to have an idea about those top 10 current events of the week. If you would make an article, if you would write 50 words, more than enough content would cover up that particular headline. Now, the 50 words should only be based on facts. For example, Angelique Kerber is perhaps the second woman after Steffi Graf to win this particular event. Now, that is a big thing. That is a fact. That particular fact should be included in the 50 words. Similarly, Stan Wawrinka is perhaps after Roger Federer and is perhaps in 46 years is the oldest player to win the US Open. That is a fact. That you have to write down in the fact section in the article. And last, check your knowledge by watching and going through the following, that is Current Affairs Express, DBAT and newspaper quiz. After you have gone about these entire activities, you can just revise all the stuff and add all the stuff from the Current Affairs Express running daily on MahendraGuru.com's YouTube channel, the daily banking awareness test, and also the newspaper quiz, which is a summation of at least 5 newspapers. If you follow this particular activity and go about them in your notebook, perhaps that would be enough to get an idea, to be a master in the current events. Now, various people have a question that everybody has the purview that they want to make notes from the newspaper. They do not trust anybody, they trust only the newspaper. Now, for those people, we have a simple strategy: how to master newspaper notes. For making notes from a newspaper, focus on these pages. Number 1, the front page. In every paper, no matter how good, how bad, the front page is the crucial factor. On that front page, there could be 2 sort of headlines. Number 1, round 1 of the Samajwadi Party war goes to Akhilesh. Shivpal Yadav quits. Number 1. Number 2, NSG membership could be granted to India. Now these are 2 headlines, but these are very different headlines. The first headline is a gossip and the second headline is a news. You have to go about deciding and deciphering and also going through which is a news. Ignore the gossip and note down the news. That should be the mantra of mastering the newspaper notes. That is the first thing. In the second point, if you could just read, if it is a news, just note it down. That should be the bottom line for the newspaper. Now, after noting down, just have the answers to the following questions of that headline. For example, we just discussed, the NSG membership could be granted to India as per America. Now, the questions could be why, when, where, what. What is NSG? Who said about NSG, when it could be granted, what is the background, where is NSG set up? There could be possible questions. So you have to ask especially these particular 4 questions: why, when, where, and what. This would suffice for that particular headline. Then editorial page. This is the Achilles heel for each and every aspirant who wants to have a better English or a better understanding about the current events. Now in the editorial page, you have and especially for the banking aspirants, choose an editorial that has been in news. They generally do not ask those questions concerning hypothetical topics or static topics. They focus on the topics that are in news. For example, the Rio Olympics is in news, Brexit it was in news, the Paralympics are in news, different sort of events that are in news that matter. Now what you have to do, if that is the editorial, make 15 to 20 points on that particular editorial. It may contain facts from that particular editorial or the fact that you've googled from the internet, but you have to make 15-20 points on that particular editorial, because if that editorial has been set up, it has to be an important event of that particular week. That is the next point. Now such headlines which form editorials are asked in abundance examination. That is the key. Then the other pages: economy, national, international, and sports. These are the 4 other pages that matter the most. Again, in that particular pages, if there is an assumption, for example, from a particular person, that is not important. If there is something very typical, that is not important. For example, if EDB suggests a GDP growth for India, that is important. RBI does it, that is important. A new RBI governor, monetary policy review, these are important. Those would perhaps form the part of the economy section. In terms of national, for example, the GST Council, the GST bill being passed, the Indian Financial Code, the Uniform Code, these are news and not gossip. That is national. International, it could be concerning different events happening in different corners of the world. That is national. And sports, US Open, Formula 1, cricket, those points that have some facts with them, those matter. That is the sports section. Again, much like the notebook section, in the notebook you can make top 10 headlines and write down a 50-word article. That is the bottom line. No matter you prepare from our website or from the newspaper, this particular last point, that is every Sunday, make a list of top 10 headlines and write down a 50-word article on each of them. Because you hate it or like it, every week there has to be 10 headlines that matter. And if you do it, perhaps that would be sufficient for you to clear the general awareness section. Moving forward, we just discussed about the strategy. But the thing that differentiates between a person who does it and who doesn't is the daily habits. Daily habits for being the master in current affairs, or if I say MICA, it is possible to have, if possible, you can have a group of people who are like-minded. For example, those are people from your coaching, from your friends who are interested in enhancing their skills about general awareness, about current events. Make a WhatsApp group, discuss with them, and discuss on a daily basis, because if you do that on a daily basis, that particular interest becomes a habit. That is the first point. Second point, be a regular follower of the Current Affairs Express. Now this is not marketing, this is a simple suggestion that if you focus on the video, that is the Current Affairs Express, perhaps you would get an idea that this is an important headline and this isn't. We also provide you in the video the newspaper quiz, the banking quiz, which perhaps give you a better understanding about this is the topic that I have to command. This is a topic that hasn't been asked, so it would not be asked. Then, because it's a 60-day period, you have to also have an idea about the previous 60 days. For that, you can focus on eMICA, competition booster at the start of every month. Because if you are making notes, match them with the booster. If there is an additional data on the competition booster, also note that particular thing down in your notebook. Like the news of the day and the current events of the week, there are always current events of the month. Now those are deadly. Those are much more important than the headlines of the week or a particular day, because those events have been happening or are in the news in the entire month. Focus on them religiously, because those topics are a must not only in the examination but also in the interview. Now the crucial factor, what would happen in the last 5 days? These are the gospels. If you would follow this, perhaps everything would suffice. Go through the notes at least twice, the note that you've made. And if the notes you have made, perhaps you would get more interest in going through them again. Preparing for the past 3 months data is enough. That is our commitment. And for events beyond the period, go through the IBPS BO booster that we would launch 20 days before the examination. So we have tried to give you an idea about how to master, how to crack the general awareness in the current events in this particular video. In the coming few days, we would focus on the second part, that is the banking awareness, and then on the static GK. With this, we come to an end. We hope you like the video. Do like us so that we can know that maximum people have liked the video. Because if the number of likes would increase, our confidence in delivering the data would increase. So do like our video so that we can judge that whether we are going in the right direction or the wrong. Remember, you were watching the video on MahendraGuru.com, the Brahmas for Success. Your success is our success. Thank you so much.